Well, it really marks a milestone. I mean, yes, we won the Cup over a year ago, and it's been running since, but we needed to mark the start as such. And what better place to come to than where it all began, 1851. Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. I was walking on the promenade just when I got here last night, and there's a plaque. I think it might have been the opening of the promenade for all I know, but it said opened by Queen Victoria 1897. And it really struck me the kind of history at that point, 1897, 46 years after the Cup was here, and this is where it started. So today was significant in that respect. There's certain things that have to roll out. We had a protocol, a date that we had to meet, which was the 30th, which was the courses, and we've met all our dates. The logo of the next Cup, the fact that Prada is really the sponsor now of the event. I mean, yes, people knew that, but it's marked as such today. So I thought it was great. Yeah, I guess we don't feel that way simply because we've never really stopped. In fact, we didn't stop at all. And I don't think these teams that are here have ever stopped either. But publicly, and I think spiritually and all that sort of thing, it's the real day today. And I think, as I say, bringing it to Cows to do it was absolutely correct idea. Yeah, it is, but the thing is that it's all about people, and Emirates Team New Zealand, we're blessed with really, really good people, and I've got a group of guys around me, and they got a group of guys around them as such, and people like Kevin Shoebridge and Richard Meacham and Dan Bernasconi and Russell Green. I mean, we're close. We're like a family, and so it doesn't feel like a step up, because when you've got too much, they take load and then they pass load on because they've got people, So I think we're a unique organisation in that way, is that we're really driven and focused. We've got some incredibly smart guys, but we actually really enjoy each other's company as well in a work and social environment. So, yes, it's a step, but it doesn't necessarily feel like a step. Well, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy a little bit. Why are we good at rugby? Because lots of people play rugby, we win, and so they play. And so we have this factory at the moment, it's just producing amazing rugby players, and they're just getting better. Not stagnant and going down and having a bad cycle, they're just getting better. And yachting's the same. We're producing Peter Burlings and Blair Tukes and those sort of guys, and there's more of them coming. I mean, there's a queue behind those guys. And it's because the sport is successful. The government invests, the public enjoy it. It's not seen as a sort of a idle rich man's sport, and that's why, because we're a bit of a factory at the moment, and I think it fits our culture a little bit. We enjoy being. There's a statistic like 2 out of 3 families have access to a boat. You can't get more than 30 kilometres from a body of water in the country. So you've got the natural ingredients to make the cake, and then when you put in the talent to make a really good cake, the people, you have the recipe for something that's pretty good. Well, the more basic question is, why not stay with the cats? The first thing is, you couldn't sail those cats in Auckland in the conditions that we have. We did all that, and then you say, well, but that's where you trained, and then came to Bermuda. But we didn't really train in Auckland as such. We trained down behind Waiheke in the shelter, so that we could sail in flat water. And we saw what happened the minute the breeze got up in Bermuda, which is a lake, effectively. We're an enclosed lake. It all just turned bad. So you couldn't sail those boats anyway. So you're going to have to dumb them down massively, big volume in the bow, etc. And you would have had to probably put soft sails on them, which doesn't kind of suit that boat. So that wasn't an option. But we had to keep going fast, because that's the generational thing, and foiling's kind of where it's at a bit at the moment. But we also wanted to, it's a compromise in some ways, because we wanted to, we're in Cows, where it all began, and a statistic like 82% of yachtsmen sail monohulls, not multi-hulls. So you've got a natural bend towards, large natural bend towards monohull anyway. So I was trying to combine both in what may have started as a compromise as such, but is starting to exceed already what we thought it would. And my sort of proof in that is what INEOS has done with that little 28-footer. That thing's a rocket ship, and it's not particularly aerodynamic at all, and it's probably a little bit too heavy. So I think when we get the 75s, it's going to exceed our expectations even. Certainly as we've developed our boat, now away from the rule but into our own design, I think it's just going faster and faster. So it's going to be significantly quicker than the cats. Yeah, the game was changing. I think we just got ahead of the game, and all these teams will have extensive simulators the next time. I mean, I guess one of the things about we snuck up on them last time. We really did. You know, no one really took much notice of us, and by the time we arrived, it was too late. Now, we didn't know we were going to be that fast either, but we held a lot of our ammo back till the cup itself. You know, we kind of back-engineered a lot of things, thinking, you know, working out how long they would take to build certain things we had if we copied, and then brought them on when we knew they ran out of time. Now, we won't get away with that this time. That was a game of stealth and an underdog, but now we're not the underdog anymore. Well, we are, frankly, but we're not going to be seen as that. So we've got to really lift our game quite a lot, actually, because all the things we did, we taught everybody else that now. And simulation is one of those things. That was a massive part of what we did. Why was it so important? Because we didn't actually have any money to build anything. So we had to do it all in simulation. So it was kind of happened by accident to a point. And now everybody's going to be in simulation in a major way. So I think it's a big part and something we're trying to move on a long way. And already everybody else will have caught what we had last time and be chasing us down, maybe not to the level we are yet, but they might have exceeded us. And they'll all be doing it. Oh, why? I'm not sure defence is much different than a challenger. We've still got to have a team that works. The only difference between a defence and a challenger is you're in the final. I don't think you see it any different at all, actually. You've got all the same elements exist. For the team, that is. For the defence, is you have the event, you got to run the event as well, and that's the only difference. I mean, it's a big difference, but the team's exactly the same. Yeah, well, I mean, I sort of, in my quiet moments, wonder why we're at kind of 3 and not 5 or 6, you know. And I honestly don't have the answer to that. It could be simply that we put the deadline too soon, and I think I might be starting to see that with teams that are quite active at the moment. And you know, we're in a good position to be able to judge that because I know how hard it is to get the money. So we might have pulled that, you know, in this sort of now generation, we didn't want the cup to be, I mean, when Team New Zealand won the cup in 95, they didn't have it till 2000. We're in a 3.5 year cycle this time. So it's hard for me to put my finger on it, but now I'm seeing 4 real teams that have got real prospects of doing it. Now they're going to have to really rattle because they're up against some serious hitters here. You know, we're up against some serious hitters. But there's 4 that I would rate a very good chance. You're not going to get 4, life doesn't work like that. You might get 2, and really we only got room for 6 in Auckland. So I'd like to see more teams. I mean, you know, I'd be disappointed if we didn't get a couple, one or two more. Well, the first of the next protocol things is the launching date, which is March next year. No one's going to launch in March next year. Well, we'll see. We're not going to launch in March next year. And everybody has to do the first regattas, or all the regattas actually, but they're in September next year. So you'll see boats, my guess is you'll start seeing boats in the spring. And then there'll be a bit of a flurry, you know, of PR, etc. as boats are launched. And that's really where it goes now is, I mean, you're heading into winter here in the Northern Hemisphere. I think in New Zealand it's really hotting up. The infrastructure building is about to start. The tank farm's about to get bowled over. We're about to move into a big flash new base, which is kind of doesn't feel quite right when we've lived in a disused fuel dump station for the last few years. So we have to remember who we are. So the activity will be in New Zealand infrastructure, but I think it'll go a bit quiet here, other than I think there'll be a couple of entries until the first boats get launched in Europe next year. Yeah, 20 more regattas. In 20 there will be more regattas, and at that point you're all headed for New Zealand, and greatest place on the planet in the centre of the universe, to the America's Cup, greatest show on earth. So the Cup itself will be 6th of March till the 21st of March, or before if we can clean them out quicker, send them home, 2021.